Hi everybody and welcome back to my shop. So today we're going to be taking a look at some of the basic hand tools that are part of any mechanic's toolbox, whether you're doing it for a living or whether you're doing it as a hobby. Some of the basic hand tools that everyone has, we're going to be taking a look at today. So the first thing that you always think of whenever you think of hand tools in general, one of the first things you think of are wrenches. Now, there's a couple different types of wrenches. This would be an open end, whereas when they're closed in like this, that would be a box end. Now, most wrenches come as combination wrenches, so they'll be open end on one end, box on the other. There are also adjustable wrenches. Some people refer to them as crescent wrenches. That's actually a brand name. But a adjustable wrench has its limitations. They're not really made for any application where you need to put a lot of torque onto things. Because they only grab from two sides, they have a tendency to slip. And also, this jaw up at the end has a little bit of movement to it. So when they slip, they have a tendency to round off corners and things like that on bolts and nuts. These are basically used when making quick adjustments or periodic maintenance or things like that. They come in pretty handy for that because they can cover a wide range of sizes all in one shot. So next thing we're going to look at is going to be pliers. So when most people think of pliers, they think of your standard slip joint pliers like this, which these slip joints, if you look at the other side of them, you can actually move them out and allow for grabbing onto larger things. Some of the other types of pliers that are available are needle nose pliers, and these are used for reaching down into smaller areas that regular pliers don't fit. Also, arc joint pliers, known by most people as channel locks. However, channel lock is also a brand name. These just happen to be channel lock brand pliers. But most people would refer to them as channel locks. Side cutters. So these are for cutting wire and different things like that. They're referred to as diagonal side cutters. Now, with screwdrivers, there's a few different basic types that everyone really needs to have. So there's the flathead screwdrivers, like this one right here. There's also Phillips screwdrivers, like this one. This would be a number 2 Phillips, which is a medium size. And anymore, if you're working on something and you have a set of screwdrivers, the other thing that you may need are Torx screwdrivers. Now, the Torx they're also referred to as star bits. So they'll have a 5-pointed star-shaped end on them. And those come in different sizes. They have different numbers on them. All right. Now we're going to take a look at ratchets and sockets. So ratchets come in different sizes. And what that size is based off of is the size of the square drive itself, which is right here. So your typical square drives on ratchets are 1/4 inch, and then 3/8, and then 1/2 inch. Those are your standard sizes. However, there are some that are larger. They go up into 3/4 and also 1 inch sizes as well. But that's if you're getting into really heavy equipment. There's also different variations on ratchets. There's flex heads, and there's also other ones that are made to angle in different directions, so you can move the head of the ratchet in different places and then lock it into position. Now with sockets, there's different types of sockets. There's shallow sockets like these, which don't go very deep, and then there's also deep sockets. The other variation with sockets is some have 6-point on the inside. Those are better for gripping bolts that are rusted and harder to turn. Some of the others are 12 point. Now, either shallow or deep sockets are available in 6 point and 12 point. It depends basically on your needs as to which one you're going to use. And also, these sockets are available in 1/4 inch drive, 3/8 drive. So 1/4 inch drive, 3/8 drive, and 1/2 inch drive. Also, for extra torque when you're trying to turn bolts, are breaker bars. So these don't have a ratchet head on the end of them, but do have the square drive to be able to drive a socket. And these give you the ability to put a lot more leverage to things. So next thing we're going to look at are hammers. Now, most people, when they think of a hammer, this is the first thing they think of. This isn't something you're typically going to find in a mechanic's toolbox. I'm not going to say none of us have ever used them. Of course we have. But these are generally made for driving and pulling nails. That's what these hammers are for. The most common hammer found in a mechanic's toolbox is the ball peen hammer. So it has one side that is rounded and one side that is flat. Also, most mechanics will typically have something a little bit larger. Sometimes they'll refer to it as a persuader. This could be referred to as, this is actually a cross peen hammer, but it could also be referred to as a mini sledgehammer. If it had this head on both sides, it would be referred to as a mini sledgehammer. Since it has the flat point on the other side of it, that is a cross peen. Another type of hammer that's commonly used in an automotive shop is the dead blow hammer. And the advantage to these, when you hit something with them, this hammer doesn't bounce back. So this hammer hits and all the force of the impact actually hits with it. Some of the other things that we'll be using are chisels, like this one. Chisels come in numerous different sizes. Things that you always need to make sure that you do: keep your points nice and sharp, and make sure at this end where you're striking it, eventually that end has a tendency to mushroom over, and you want to make sure that every once in a while you just take your grinder and you grind off that jagged metal off the edge of it, just so it doesn't fly off when you're hitting it and end up stuck in your arm or your finger or anything else like that. Some of the other tools that you would use with a hammer are punches. These are pin punches, so these would be used for like driving out roll pins or cotter pins or anything like that. If you don't know what those are yet, just stay tuned to me and you will find these things out. So these are used for all different types of applications. Now, that's a basic tour of what your basic toolbox should look like. Obviously, there's a lot more that can be added to that, and any of the wrenches, any of the sockets, anything like that can all be in standard and metric size. And typically now, you usually need both metric and standard in order to be able to work on things. Most of your new stuff now is going to be metric. So we will be getting into power tools and air tools and all those types of things in the future, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you very much.